Hello and welcome back to week 3 of our weekly interview session with Graham, all about employment law and any staffing issues you might have. Thank you so much for submitting so many questions. And last week we did discuss a lot about the hours of work, and a question that I was asked quite a bit during the week, Graham, was and I'm kind of guilty of this as well, very much in the capacity of my work. I say to people, no, you've got to be in 10 minutes early, you've got to be in 5 minutes earlier, at least 15 minutes earlier. The earlier I can get people in, the better. So if a therapist is supposed to start work at 9, I'm saying, you've got to be there at least 1/4 to, or at least 10 to. And then the query I get back is, well, I'm not being paid, so why should I come in? So what are the compliance issues around that? Yes.
Yeah, from a compliance perspective, I suppose, if somebody, say, let's use the 9 o'clock example, is rostered to start from 9 o'clock, that's the start of their work, that's when they're going to get paid from. But there will be numerous industries where if that's my starting work time, that doesn't mean that's the time I'll be arriving to. I need to be ready to start work at that time. So I think it's absolutely fine for an employer just to make anybody aware of that, hairdresser, stylist, anybody working in a salon, that okay, that's the time you're starting on, but you need to be ready to start work from that time. So whatever preparation needs to be done in advance, whether that takes 5, 6, 7, 10 minutes, there is a duty on them to make sure that they are ready to go from 9 o'clock. And that would work across a huge amount of different industries. And really, it's not to say it's as straightforward as that. I know there can be difficulties dealing with staff and employees on that. But really, it's about addressing those issues as they arise. So if people aren't ready to go at the 9 o'clock, it's having a conversation with them, it's reminding them of the duty and the obligation that they're ready to go at that. And if that means them being there a few minutes earlier to get ready to go, then that's what might need to happen, you know. But I think that's the key thing. Sometimes it's people might have a policy or a procedure in place, but the follow-up sometimes can drop off. That's that key thing, making sure you're following up and you're actually maybe enforcing a certain policy around it.
Great, okay. That really clarifies that. Thanks so much. Okay, so can't expect people to work for free.
Absolutely.
No.
Yeah.
So what do I need to pay my employees? And can I pay people a commission based on the number of clients they serve, or products they sell, or courses that they sell?
Okay, yeah, interesting question. I suppose if I'm being, like, a simple answer is we have a national minimum wage and it's there. It's $9.25 at the moment. It's due to go up to $9.55 from the 1st of January. We understand from the Taoiseach's announcement in July. We didn't see anything in the budget in particular mentioned to it, but we're just taking from his announcement that it will happen from the 1st of January, and imagine it will be in the finance bill, which is due to go through. So that's your national minimum wage. There's kind of step downs at various stages and percentages, whether somebody's in their first year out of school and so on, their first job. There is various step downs right the way down through it, but the national minimum wage is your good guideline there. That being said, it's an interesting question around the commission piece, and there is a number of different industries that would have that kind of a piece rate or a commission rate on delivery of their service and performance. So you can do that, and you can introduce something like that. The key bit of advice I suppose I would give around it is just making sure that whatever way it's put together, or that remuneration package is put together, that if, say, somebody doesn't hit certain targets or doesn't get to a certain level, that their rate of pay does not drop below the hourly national minimum wage. That's your key thing. So there might be a bit of maths and a bit of calculations to be done around that, but it is possible to do. Sometimes people will work at a minimum wage because they need to attract people as well, because sometimes if it's just commission, that can be difficult. But there is ways around it, and there is ways of working it in between the national minimum wage and the commission rate as well, working together, just making sure we don't go below that national minimum wage.
Great. Are people supposed to pay tax on tips?
So from the employer side, I think the employer side, no, that's like generally one of those industry things you could look at. Retail, bars, anything like that, it's generally shared out among them from a tip. So it's generally more an internal policy procedure. So from organisation to organisation, it would vary in terms of what might be left there in terms of shared out among them, or it's between me and the person who I've been looking after for the last number of weeks and months. But it's very much an internal organisation. There'll be no set guidance there on that from that perspective.
Right. Okay. I get asked that all the time. And do I have to give my employees a pay slip? And what are the risks if I don't give pay slips?
Okay, yes, straight answer is yes. Everybody is entitled to a pay slip, and the risk or the potential exposure there, I suppose, is again, from our payment of wages, it could be a potential payment of wages claim from somebody there if they're not happy with it. And particularly it could even be that they're just challenging what they might be getting, and if you don't have the pay slip there to evidence it, that can be difficult for an employer then as well and put you in a difficult situation. So yes, pay slip should be issued, and the risk or the exposure there I suppose is that payment of wages or an inspection from the WRC as well, and being asked to produce evidence of pay slips that have been produced.
Okay, you mentioned the WRC there.
Yeah, briefly.
Tell us more. I'm hearing about them. I get phone calls, I get emergency phone calls about them.
Yeah, I tried to briefly mention it. So our Workplace Relations Commission, we went through a massive change in the country back towards the end of 2015, I think it is now, so it's been embedded a little while, in terms of our WRC and replacing a number of different, our Quality Authority, EAT, Rights Commissioner, all come in under what's called our Workplace Relations Commission. So that's our kind of third party piece where if somebody isn't happy with something in the workplace, they can go there and get a bit of advice or guidance, or they can go there and make a complaint or a claim. It will be go through the first port of call now is through an adjudication officer, which is like the old Rights Commissioner really is the best comparison, and they will deal with issues there from that, and they'll hear it. The other element of it, I suppose, which maybe people need to be aware of as well, is the inspection piece. So people might be familiar with NERA, and previously NERA has come in under the WRC now, so what you actually have now is WRC inspectors that will come out very, very similar in terms of what they will do and conduct in terms of NERA, and will probably actually even a little bit more powerful in terms of the state authority and the state powers that they have, but ultimately it will be come out to inspect to ensure compliance. If there isn't compliance, generally what they will do in a general approach is they will give an opportunity for improvement depending on the severity of the issue maybe, but generally it will be kind of a compliance order to say, look, you need to get this right, and they'll come back in a period of time, in a number of weeks to check that, and that's probably definitely a time when you want to bring an advocate to see if there's any help that can be given at that point, but that's the way that they work from an inspection perspective.
Okay. So it really is all coming back all the time to having your contracts, having your policies, having as much in writing as you possibly can.
Yeah, the documentation and paper trail is crucial. Is
everything. Final question for today. Just tell me a little bit. The final question we got there was...
Well, again, I think it's hiding from last week's one, wasn't it, around the keeping of hours and the clocking.
The clocking in and the clocking out. I know that's causing a lot of confusion in the salons. Yeah. So what's the procedure for that?
So from a clocking in and clocking out perspective, the onus is on the organisation or the employer to make sure that you can evidence the hours of work that have been worked by your staff and your employees. So again, it maybe ties in from our inspection piece that we were talking from the WRC, in that if they come in, one of the first things they will ask for is show me evidence of the hours that have been worked. So rosters is one thing, but rosters doesn't necessarily show that that's the hours that were worked, that's what was scheduled to work. So not everybody will have a clock in and clock out system, and it's not feasible for everybody to have a clock in and clock out system, but there is still, that doesn't change the onus or the obligation to be able to produce evidence of hours of work. Be that you get somebody to complete a timesheet at the end of the week, just confirm it and get them to sign off on that, whatever that might be, and make sure that's detailing at the very minimum, start, finish and breaks. That's what you want, to be able to detail that on a weekly or monthly basis.
Brilliant. Okay, this is all just so helpful, great, you have no idea. So that's it for today. Again, like the last few weeks even. If you wouldn't mind, just keep your questions coming in because it's really helpful. We know exactly then what to ask Graham on your behalf. So again, Averil's name is flashing up on her number at the bottom of the screen. Please call her if you want more information on this because we're fairly limited in the time that we have. And again, we will see you next week. Thanks so much.